Welcome back, Art Club. Today we have a very fun project. We are going to make our own keychains. For those of you who did Art Club last year, I know many of you enjoyed the shrink plastic to make magnets. We're going to use that same material, but to make a keychain this year. My prompt for you, and if you want to divert from this a little bit, that's totally fine. My prompt for you is to try and decide what is your spirit animal. What is an animal that you think encompasses your personality, and to make a keychain of that one. So the things that we'll need today, I'm going to give everyone a small piece of paper to do a sketch on. Shortly, you'll get your shrink plastic. I'll talk about that more in a moment so you can trace it on. I have markers, colored pencils, fine tip Sharpies to help you with the drawing aspect of this. We'll have scissors to cut out, and then I'll talk about the keychain aspect and how we're gonna finish these off in just a moment. All right, so you've probably heard people mention spirit animals before, and you know, it might be a little bit silly for some of us, but I think it's kind of fun to think about. We can probably think of several different animals for each of us. For what I'm going to do today, I decided to do a rabbit, and some of the reasons for that are they represent more introverted individuals, which I think is accurate for me. They tend to be a little bit more nervous and jumpy, which can also sometimes be me, but they can also be a little bit silly and goofy and playful. And I feel like all of those things have to do with me. So I'm going to start off with this. I'm giving you guys each a piece of paper that's this size for a reason, and I really want you to try and use most of it. Since we're using shrink plastic, whatever you're drawing is going to shrink and get smaller, and I don't want you to be disappointed by the size when it is completed. So try and do your drawing on the entire piece of paper. This can just be done with a pencil for now. All right, so I've drawn mine out on the piece of paper, and what you want to do at this point, you will get a piece of shrink plastic that should be very, very close to the same size. If it's not, please just adjust accordingly. So this is the same kind that we used last year. So one side is going to be shiny and smooth, and the other side has a rougher texture to it. This is nice because this means that we can use both markers but also colored pencils to draw on here. So what I'm going to recommend that you do is put the shrink plastic just right on top of the drawing. If you're worried about it moving, I'll give you a piece of masking tape to hold them together, no big deal. You can either use your pencil to trace over what you have, or you can use a colored pencil, or if you'd like to, and this is what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the fine tip Sharpie to go over my lines. Okay, so I have traced over everything. I'm gonna move that out of the way. Before I start adding color, obviously, I wanna make sure that this is completely dry. And also, if you're worried about being able to see through the clear plastic, feel free to leave your sketch underneath it. That's not a big deal. I'm going to use colored pencils in order to fill this in. Please keep in mind, as this is more of like a spirit animal type thing, the color does not need to be realistic. If you want to do some really creative color, that's totally fine. Please feel free to do that. I think I might stick more with realistic colors, but you can color on here either with markers or with colored pencils, whichever one you prefer. And then I'm gonna do that and check back in with you in just a moment. All right, everyone, the last thing that you need to do after you color it is cut it out. For cutting these out, especially if you have a lot of really small details, I'm going to recommend that you do a bubble cut and leave some of the blank clear plastic around your animal. This will help make everything much, much sturdier when it's shrunk down into for the keychain. So I'm going to leave some space around my entire thing. That is really not going to be noticeable or a big deal by the time that it is completely done. Like I said, if anything, it's just going to help make it a little bit sturdier. But definitely do that so that you have like one big shape instead of like a lot of little pieces hanging off. So at this point, you're going to be done for today. I am going to be taking these home to shrink them in my oven at home, so you will need to wait just a couple days to make sure that they're done. I'm going to punch a hole in the top before I put them in the oven. Afterwards, I will be attaching a key ring and then also a clasp to your keychain, and there will be an announcement when you guys can come pick them up. I hope that you enjoy making this today, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how they look when they're done.